They found a preacher's body hanging from the chapel rafters, a Bible clutched in one hand, a note in the other that read, "I failed her." That was the headline. What they didn't print was this: he didn't kill himself, and she was never really an orphan. Pastor Elijah Moore was the kind of man people trusted with their deepest secrets. Tall, soft-spoken, with a warmth that disarmed even the hardest hearts. He ran a small church in a quiet town just outside Montgomery, Alabama. Everyone loved him. Everyone except the girl who brought him to his knees. Her name was Callie, 15, eyes too cold for her age. She sat in the back pew every Sunday for 3 months before Pastor Elijah noticed her. Always alone, always quiet. People whispered that she came from up north, that her parents had died in a house fire. No one ever really knew. One rainy Sunday, after the service, she stayed behind, said she had nowhere to go. And that's when Pastor Elijah made the decision that would destroy everything. He took her in. At first, it seemed like the right thing to do. He moved her into the church's spare room, bought her clothes, got her enrolled in school. People praised him for his godly heart, but it didn't take long before things turned strange. Callie wasn't like other girls. She was quiet but watchful, like she was always waiting for something. She started locking her door at night. One church member said she saw her digging through the pastor's office when she thought no one was around. Then the rumors started. She's too pretty to be living with him. He's too old to be playing daddy. You know how men of God fall. Pastor Elijah ignored it, or tried to, until the night the sheriff knocked on his door. Callie had gone to the police, told them Elijah had been touching her for months, said she had bruises, evidence. The town exploded. Church members protested. Reporters swarmed. Elijah swore it wasn't true, said she was lying, manipulating. But the girl had receipts, photos, text messages, even a video, blurry, shaky, but just clear enough to seem like him doing unspeakable things. They arrested Elijah the next day, charged with assault, abuse of a minor, possession of child pornography. He screamed his innocence all the way to jail. He never made it to trial. They found him dead in his cell 3 weeks later. Ruled a suicide. Case closed. Town broken. But here's the thing. I was there. I was Callie's teacher. I watched her sit in class day after day, calm as glass. While the town mourned Elijah, Callie didn't flinch. No tears. No remorse. Just that same cold stare. And something never sat right with me. So I started digging. Turns out, Callie wasn't who she said she was. Her real name? Samantha Grace Holloway. No fire. No dead parents. No next of kin. She'd bounced around foster homes for years. And wherever she went, things went wrong. One family accused her of theft. Another of animal cruelty. She spent time in juvenile detention for setting a shed on fire with someone's cat inside. Charges got dropped. She slipped through cracks like smoke. But one detail stood out. In every home, someone got hurt. Accidents, fires, false accusations. And now Elijah was dead. I took my findings to Detective Ray Carter, the only cop in town who still had doubts. We went through the case file again, looked at the evidence. The bruises? Self-inflicted. The doctor noted they were oddly symmetrical, almost staged. The video? Digitally altered, spliced from old sermons and fake audio. The texts? Created from a burner phone she bought a month earlier. Callie had framed him, masterfully. But why? That answer came 2 weeks later, in the form of an anonymous letter delivered to my mailbox. Just one sentence. He was the only one who saw what I really was. No name, no return address, but it was typed, just like the suicide note found in Elijah's hand. That's when it hit me. Elijah didn't write that note. Callie did. She forged everything, and she killed him. Detective Carter pushed to reopen the case. But Callie, now Samantha again, was already gone. Disappeared from her new foster home. Left behind a single photo taped to the mirror. It was the church, burning. No flames, just edited. Symbolic. She was telling us she wasn't done. The case is now federal. She's wanted in multiple states. Suspected in at least 2 more deaths. They call her a runaway, a trouble girl, a victim of the system. But I know better. She's a predator, a shapeshifter, a master manipulator, and she's still out there, Sometimes evil wears the face of the helpless. Sometimes the sheep is the wolf. And sometimes the man they buried as guilty was the only one trying to stop her. After a while, she's found her next home. Another family has taken her in, and this time, she's calling herself Emily. She called them Daddy the same day they found his wife's body in the bathtub. That was how it started again. New town, new name, new family, but the pattern stayed the same. Her name now was Emily Carter, 16, sweet, soft-spoken, and dressed like the picture of innocence. She'd been in the home of Michael and Rachel Carter for barely a month before Rachel turned up dead. This time, she didn't run. She cried. She clung to Michael like a real daughter. Said she found Rachel face down in the tub after hearing a loud thud. Said she tried to pull her out, but panicked. Said she dialed 911. The autopsy said drowning, but the bruises said otherwise. Still, no charges were filed. The police ruled it a tragic accident. Widowed husband, traumatized foster daughter. Case closed. But not for me. I never stopped tracking her. Since the day she vanished from town, I followed every breadcrumb she left behind. And she always left breadcrumbs. She wanted to be found, but only after it was too late. I knew it was her the second I saw the report. Rachel Carter, 38, died under suspicious but inconclusive circumstances. Foster daughter present. I drove straight to Georgia. Michael Carter was a local mechanic. Hardworking, quiet, a man with no history of violence, no criminal record. But there was something different about him. He believed her. He genuinely thought Emily, Samantha, Callie, whatever her real name was a blessing. He said she helped him through the grief. Said she was God's second chance at having a daughter after his wife passed. And that's when it hit me. She wasn't planning to leave this time. She was planning to stay. I couldn't go to the cops. I'd tried that before. So I did what she did. I got close. I told Michael I was a freelance journalist doing a piece on foster families. Said I was inspired by their story. He welcomed me in like I was family. And Emily? She knew who I was the second I stepped through the door. She stared at me during dinner, never blinking. Her smile never quite reached her eyes. Later that night, when Michael went to bed, she cornered me in the hallway. "You really don't give up, do you?" she whispered. I told her it wasn't over. She laughed. "It is for him. He just doesn't know it yet." The next morning, Michael didn't show up to work. His assistant found him barely conscious in the garage. The air had been thick with carbon monoxide, his car engine running, garage sealed. A wrench lay on the ground near his hand. The cop called it a suicide attempt, but I knew better. Michael said he had no memory of turning the car on. Said he woke up gasping with a pillowcase tied around his neck. No one believed him, except me. They committed him for a psychiatric evaluation. And Emily? She stayed behind in the house. Alone. This was her routine. Build trust. Create dependency. Eliminate the threats. And then what? That was the question, until I found her journal. Hidden in a vent behind the laundry room. Dozens of pages. Drawings. Names. Dates. She documented everything. Elijah Moore. Jessica Carver. Rachel Carter. But what chilled me most was the final entry. He's next. I'll make sure they all believe he did it. Like the preacher. Like the others. And when it's over, I'll cry just like I always do. They love the tears. She signed it. S. Grace Holloway. Like it was a brand. I turned the journal in to the sheriff's department. At first, they said it wasn't enough. No fingerprints. No video. No direct confession. But I wasn't the only one watching her this time. Detective Ray Carter. Yeah, same Carter, Michael's cousin, had been following my investigation. He got a search warrant. They went through every inch of the house. And that's when they found it. A vial of sedatives. Hidden under the floorboard in Emily's room. Same drug found in Michael's blood work. They arrested her on the spot. She didn't fight. Didn't scream. She just smiled. "I was getting bored anyway," she said. Here's the twist. At her arraignment, she pled not guilty. Her lawyers painted a picture of a traumatized child. Said she'd been abused in every home she'd been in. Said the journal was fiction, part of a therapy exercise. And then she dropped the bombshell. She said I had planted everything. Said I was obsessed with her. That I'd been stalking her for years. That I broke into the house and wrote the journal to frame her. Suddenly, I was under investigation. But karma has a way of catching up. In the middle of her trial, the prosecution dropped a surprise witness, a girl from one of her previous foster homes. She was only 10 when Samantha lived there, but she remembered everything. And she told the court how Samantha had tried to drown her in the pool. They had hospital records, CPS reports, a paper trail finally too long to ignore. The jury deliberated for 6 hours. Verdict, guilty. Samantha Grace Holloway was sentenced to life without parole. So what's the life lesson? Not every broken child is innocent, and not every preacher is guilty. The truth has claws, and sometimes it takes digging through hell to set it free. But here's the thing, that should have been the end of it. But 2 nights ago, I got an envelope in the mail. No return address. Inside, a single photo. It was me, standing in my kitchen, taken through the window, time-stamped last week. On the back, written in red ink, "Did you really think it was just me?" They thought she acted alone. They were wrong. They buried the monster, but they didn't know she had a twin. That was the whisper that hit the internet like a virus. Not a theory, not a rumor, a warning. When I got that envelope with the photo of myself, taken through my kitchen window, I thought it was a prank. Maybe a sick fan of the case. But deep down I knew Samantha Grace Holloway might have been locked up. But the nightmare wasn't over. I took the photo straight to Detective Ray Carter. He didn't blink. She's in solitary, max security, no visitors, no communication. He paused, but someone knew exactly where you'd be. That's not coincidence. He was right. I hadn't shared my address publicly. I lived off the grid. No social media, no traceable trail. So how did someone get that close? Then it hit us both at the same time. She wasn't working alone. Back in the files, there was something that never made sense. Samantha had always been a loner. Every move calculated. Every crime methodical. Too methodical. Her fake identities. The photoshopped evidence. The forged signatures. The burner phones. She had help. We just didn't know where it came from. Until a name popped up. Sarah Holloway. Her twin sister. No record after age 6. Thought to have died in foster care. No trace. No burial. Just a line in a long-forgotten case file. Twin girls. One placed. One lost in the system. I started digging. Turns out Sarah didn't die. She just disappeared. She was last seen in a group home in Texas. Then gone. No transfer papers. No adoption records. Just vanished. I asked for security footage from the prison where Samantha was held. They reviewed it carefully. And there it was. 3 weeks earlier. A nurse on the late shift. Same build. Same eyes. Walking into Samantha's cell. No one questioned it until they looked closer. She never left. Not through the front. Not on the cameras. Not on any log. It was like she became Samantha. Swapped clothes. Used her ID badge. And walked out as the girl everyone thought was locked away. The real Samantha was gone. And the girl behind bars? Her twin, Sarah. Or maybe someone else entirely. We had no idea how long the switch had been in play. I drove back to my house in a cold sweat. Every shadow looked alive. Every creak in the floor made my heart pound. Inside, nothing was out of place, except for the bedroom mirror. Words scratched into the glass with something sharp. I watched you sleep. I didn't sleep at all that night. That week, 2 more deaths made the news. A counselor who had worked with Samantha during her juvenile years. Found stabbed in her office. No signs of forced entry. A journalist who'd written a book about the Holloway case. Car crash. Brakes cut. Both ruled unrelated. But I knew better. Samantha, or Sarah, was tying up loose ends. And I was next. I packed up and left town. Changed my number. Went dark. But 3 days later, I got a burner phone in a FedEx envelope. No return address. It rang the second I touched it. I answered. Nothing but static. Then a voice. Young. Cold. Female. You made her famous. You gave her a story. Now I'm going to give you one. Click. Ray Carter called me the next day. Breathless. She's back. A couple in Asheville, North Carolina, had just been found dead in their home. Both foster parents. One child missing. Adopted just months ago under the name Emily Shaw. The child's photo? Identical to Samantha. Or Sarah. Or whoever the hell she really was. And she'd left something behind on the kitchen table. A Bible. open to the story of Judgment Day. Inside it, a note. This time, no more lies. Just justice. Justice isn't always about right and wrong. Sometimes it's about survival. And sometimes, evil doesn't die. It just changes faces. She's still out there. And if I've learned anything, it's that she's not done telling her story. The authorities believe they're hunting one person. But they're not. They're hunting a legacy. The fire didn't kill her. It just made her harder to trace. That was the final note in the case file. But it wasn't the end of the story. Because evil like hers doesn't vanish, it waits. It had been 6 weeks since the call. 6 weeks since the girl who called herself Samantha, Callie, Emily, and Sarah vanished again. And I had one mission left, to end the story she started. I tracked her last known move to Asheville, North Carolina. The foster couple found murdered. Their house reeked of familiarity, torn photo albums, Bible verses smeared with blood, and a candle left burning in the hallway. Classic Holloway signature. But this time, she left something else behind. A flash drive. On it were dozens of videos. Grainy. Handheld. Secretly recorded. Some showed her in different homes, using different names. Others showed her watching people. But one video was different. It was her, sitting in front of a mirror, speaking directly into the camera. They all think I'm a monster. But they never asked who made me one. You want the truth? Fine. There were never two of us. There was only me. She smiled. That crooked, eerie smile. Sarah was real. But I killed her when we were 7. She was the good one. The soft one. The one who cried when they hurt us. I didn't cry. I learned. My blood froze. She hadn't just been running. She had become someone else to survive, and then realized she liked it better that way. I turned the footage over to Ray Carter. The FBI reopened the case immediately. Warrants were issued. A nationwide manhunt began. But the trail had gone cold again. Until 2 days later, when I got a call from an unknown number. I almost didn't answer, but I did. Her voice came through, calm and deliberate. I'm tired now. I think it's time you finish the story. So come find me. She gave me an address. A rural cabin deep in the Blue Ridge Mountains. It was a trap. I knew it. Ray knew it. But I went anyway. The cabin looked abandoned. Windows broken. Door barely hanging on. Inside was pitch black, the air thick with smoke and mold. A single lantern flickered in the corner, and there she was, sitting in a wooden chair like she'd been expecting me her whole life. Older now, pale, hollow eyes. She wasn't armed, wasn't angry. She just looked tired. What? I asked. She tilted her head, because no one believed me when I told the truth. So I learned how to make lies louder, and the world listened. I told her it was over. That they'd come for her. She smiled again. That's the thing about stories, isn't it? They only end when the storyteller stops talking. Then she handed me a journal. Inside were every confession, every false identity, every lie she'd told, and every murder she'd committed. Signed, Samantha Grace Holloway, Sarah Holloway, Callie Rivers, Emily Shaw, and the girl you'll never forget. Then she lit the match. The cabin went up in flames. She didn't run. She just sat there, watching me through the fire until I couldn't see her anymore. The autopsy confirmed it. She died in the fire. Vital records matched. DNA too. The story ended where it began, in flames. Evil doesn't always come with red flags. Sometimes it walks into your church, smiles in your home, cries on your shoulder. Sometimes it wears the face of a child and tells the kind of lie that gets good men killed. But sometimes truth does win, not because justice always prevails, but because someone refuses to stop digging. The preacher's name is cleared. The town knows now. They talk about it like a horror movie. But for some of us, it was very, very real. 2 weeks ago, I got a postcard. No stamp, no handwriting, just a single image, a cracked mirror, and the words, "What if she left someone behind?"